everyone, and welcome to the American Friends of Unit 669 Annual Gala event. We have been waiting for 2 years to say this line in person. And we are finally so delighted to have you all gathered here, including more than 200 friends of the unit joining us remotely from 8 watching parties across the U.S., in California, in Florida, upstate New York, on Long Island, and even in South Africa. We see you and we welcome you all. Thank you for joining us and for showing your love for Unit 669 and its alumni. This is your chance to support those who risk their lives to save others anywhere, anytime, and anyone.
For those serving in 669, the Israeli Search and Rescue Unit, a day can be unpredictable. One moment they can be rescuing a hiker in the Negev, then 20 minutes later they can be on their way to Lebanon to save a downed pilot behind enemy lines. Sitting in a helicopter, a 669 operator often has no idea what their mission will be. 669, the IDF's Airborne Combat Rescue and Evacuation Unit, is dispatched when things go horribly wrong. They have to be ready for anything: mountain rescues, diving missions, even armed combat. 669 is one of the IDF's elite Special Forces units. What does it take to become a 669 operator? 669's primary purpose is rescuing pilots from behind enemy lines, but they are often called upon to use their expertise to rescue wounded soldiers and even civilians in need of emergency helicopter evacuation. The unit's motto is, "In distress you called, and I rescued you. In a time of need, 669 is on their way." But the IDF didn't always have such a unit. During the near cataclysmic Yom Kippur War in 1973, over 100 Israeli aircraft were shot down in enemy territory, and dozens of pilots were taken captive. The IDF had no rescue plan. The commander of the Israeli Air Force, Benny Peled, had previously petitioned for a specialized rescue unit, but now he demanded one, with a focus on rescuing pilots. His petition was accepted, and in 1974, the IDF established Unit 669.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to take a part in this important event. My time as a soldier and the Unit 669 commander, the people who risk their own lives to save lives 24/7, 365 days a year, shaped my life forever. You can leave the unit after many years of service, but it's always in your blood. As a former commander of this unit, I can tell you that knowing that there are good people who regularly support the unit from near and far means more to its operators and commanders than I can put into words. I participate in all the wars and military campaigns in the last 25 years, involving the Second Lebanon War. In my year as the commander of the Unit 669, the unit took part in special operation evacuated Israeli Air Force fighter pilots from enemy territory, evacuated special forces from Gaza Strip, and conduct combat evacuation and humanitarian operations in Israel and abroad.
After interviewing citizens of Westmoreland and surrounding communities, that trauma was something that occurred daily. Bike and motor vehicle accidents, farm injuries, medical emergencies such as asthma, heart attack and stroke, just to name a few. These are the #1 killers not only in Jamaica but worldwide. Modern societies all have a system to respond to these incidents. That's why we at the Jaja Foundation initiated our first responder training course in Negril in September 2019. We had 4 remarkable trainers who volunteered their time and services all the way from Israel. These brave men were all up to the challenge, having been trained in medical and military response and rescue as part of the elite 669 Black Cat unit. Our primary accommodations partners for this mission are members of the Negril Chamber of Commerce. The president, Richard Wallace, and Dr. Trevor Dixon conceptualized the EMS program some 2 years ago.
September 3rd, 2019. After almost 20 hours of flight, we landed in a country we've never been to change the lives of a community that we've never met. Again, my heart beat more than 100 beats per minute. I look to my right, and I can only see turquoise water for miles and miles. And to my left, 3 of my Army teammates sitting next to me. We have experienced life-changing events as missions in our life in the unit, but now it was different. No rifle, no vest, but yes, a suitcase and a QR code. The 4 of us get off the plane. This time, as I said, we're no longer in the Army. We finished our service. But even after finishing the service, we, like many other alumni, continue to rescue others. We get off the plane, and the humidity hits us in the face. We fly for 20 hours, and it's humid like Tel Aviv in July. We landed in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Beautiful, beautiful Jamaica. From there, we drove to beautiful Negril. In Negril, the local population is 7,000. The paradox was insane. Beautiful, rich, golden beaches, but not all the locals could afford or have access to emergency care. As I said, none of us ever been to Jamaica or had any acquaintances there at the time. It was our mission to create a sustainable environment that everyone had access to pre-hospital care. We leveraged prior training and best practices from the unit to lead a series of medical vocational training for 22 local personnel in CPR, PHTLS, anatomy, and physiology, resulting in an increase of 400% of capable staff that will be qualified to be hired by the local Chamber of Commerce to assist all those who needed help regards their financial abilities. The mission did not end there. We helped design the on-call room, the ambulance, and also communication to the hospital to receive trauma patients. Why did we cross the ocean to Jamaica? Why did we risk our lives to save those who consider us foes? For us, the operators and the unit, the reason is simple. Anyone that needs us will receive a hand, whether you're in enemy territory or across the globe. Honestly, I know it's exact science. Mothers, especially Jewish ones, are always correct. But maybe this time, doing the opposite paid off. During my time in the unit, I met my girlfriend who was a paramedic, and I saved many lives around the globe. Thank you very much.
Those days in '98, most of the Israeli army was in Lebanon, and intelligence received information that there is Hezbollah units that trying to make some kind of very huge terror attack. One of the ways to avoid it is to do some ambushes and wait on as far as we can inside the field. The idea was to come with 4 snipers and to wait, and if we see someone that is a terrorist, of course, so the snipers can do the job. Before entering to the bushes that we're supposed to be inside, about 2 hours before daylight, we heard an explosion. We understood that there is a few that get injured. and we need to do something. I had in my unit one doctor and two surgeons that's supposed to be with him. 3 of them got injured. The situation is very severe, so I must send them away. I called in the radio to the headquarters and I said, I must helicopter come to help us to take the wounded soldiers to the hospital.
הערב בחדשות, פציעתם של 6 חיילי צה"ל בלבנון, בניסיון הדרמטי לחלץ אותם.
החילוץ הדרמטי לפנות בוקר בדרום לבנון, עוברים אל דברים ששמענו הערב מפי אנשי יחידת החילוץ של חיל האוויר, על פינוי הפצועים תחת אש. כתבנו יאיר כך.
We were at the north part of Israel, a base called Ramat David. We were a small unit, like 2 fighters, 669 fighters, and then there was an alarm.
They told us there is a force of Nahal that are in the middle of the fire.
We went to Lebanon, heard at the helicopter that there are 3 soldiers that they were injured, and then we had to make a decision on how we are going to rescue these 3 soldiers.
I was severely injured by 3 bullets. Entered from here, tore my right lung.
And I was the physician of the operation, and I was very close to the area where the bomb was exploding. And actually I suffered from a head injury.
It was not any option that a helicopter can land, take the wounded people, and then to go back.
We come closer and closer, and we decided that we cannot land there as usual and take the patient, and we should do it by cable.
Asi, I remember seeing your picture in the newspaper, my heart broken, my head refusing to believe you were taken from us. Asi, you were the center of our home, always full of life, love, and warmth. How can this be? It was just last night the whole family gathered to celebrate a few happy events. Aunt Dalia's birthday, my 2nd pregnancies, and most important of all, you, Asi. You had just received your CAT pin, Unit 669 pin, for which you worked so hard for. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the American Friends of Unit 669 who helped fund and organize this unforgettable event. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
At the same time, I realized that most of the people in Israel who live around me don't know what to do and don't have the tools that we have, and probably suffer from more extreme anxiety. From time to time, I receive gratitude and indication of how important our work and our alumni organization. This past year, I experienced it firsthand. I realized how important are the first aid, first treatment that we run, and the medical kits we distribute around the Gaza Strip to families who live in high-risk areas. I've now better understanding about how the right knowledge and equipment can help people navigate this kind of crisis that we have in our country.
עד לפני 3 חודשים יואב אסה היה ספורטאי מחונן, שרירי, מאמן נערים לגיוס, אדם נערץ בכושר שיא. עד שבמהלך אימון שגרתי שהעביר אי שם על איזו דיונה, הוא התחשמל מקו מתח גבוה שעבר שם. הוא הובהל במצב קריטי לבית החולים, כוויות קשות ב-70% מחלקי גיפו. הוא היה קרוב מאוד להיות אדם מת. אבל אז משהו קרה שם.
הכי קשה בשבילי זה היה לראות אותו בתוך האמבולנס, איך הוא מוריד את הידיים, וכאילו כבר לא היה איתנו.
הפעם הראשונה שיואב הגיב לי, זה היה כששרתי לו שיר ששנינו מאוד אוהבים. ואז הוא התחיל לפקוח את העיניים, ואני סימנתי לאחות. הוא פוקח עיניים, אז הבנתי שהוא שומע אותנו.
מסתכל על הרגליים, אני רואה שהן שורפות, ואני אומר לאבא שלי כאילו, רגע, זה באמת קרה? כאילו, מה קורה איתי עכשיו? נעלמו לי החיים.
What would be one piece of advice that you can share with us, something that jumps out to you and from your experience and you would recommend for other people to consider and bring to their attention?
Well, you asked for one, but I'm an Israeli and I love the army, and everything in the military is divided by three, so it's going to be three. First, we try to focus on what we have and not what's missing. And that's a big thing. And we tend to focus on what's lacking. Second, focus on helping others. That's the greatest power, comes from there. And third, be active. Healing comes through movement. Moving water are more healthy than standing water. Move physically, mentally, socially. Be active. That's my
That's it. You're
2
not going
cents.
back to Israel. I need you to stay here and remind me every morning. Okay, well said. But really, you're not going anywhere. You're staying with me for the next stage of the evening, which is, that is the part where we help those who help others. But before we get going and ask the audience here and at home, we have 200 people watching us from 8 watching parties, let's tell people how they can help. So tonight, you can donate a PTSD workshop for a soldier. You can support our mentoring program, which helps young soldiers coming out of the military in their transition into civilian life. And as part of that, you can also sponsor scholarships for soldiers who wish to complete higher education. So your contribution can help us distribute also life-saving kits to communities living at-risk regions in Israel.
You know, it's a great organization. It's a small organization, but we're a dedicated group of people. We like to support the soldiers. We have several programs out there that we do. We have the PTSD programs, we have scholarships, we have mentoring, and you know, as we have more donors and more money, we'll do more for the soldiers.